Most history is about what happened. This particular exhibit, currently at the Jack Mason Museum of West Marin History in the Inverness Library, is about what didn't happen and how glad we are that it didn't happen. In the late 50s and early 60s, there was a great pressure to develop out here in West Marin. And there were all sorts of projects that were proposed. This exhibit talks about some of the projects that were proposed, but it also talks about a general plan that the supervisors commissioned, which would have, in its original preliminary version, allowed for over 66,000 people in West Marin. And we're not talking about Stinson, Bolinas, Nicasio, or the San Geronimo Valley. We're talking just the corridor of the Tomales Bay, East Shore, and down through Olima and Five Brooks and the Inverness pocket, which Inverness and Inverness Park. The political nature of the times meant that there was a lot more pressure to develop than even that great increase in population. And the final plan went up to about 125,000 people in the area. And this exhibit includes a lot of old plans, even before a few things in late 1800s and into the and of course in 1900s. But it also talks about some of the things that happened in the park. One of the major things was the development at Limantour Spit, and originally Payne Shafter wanted to sell off the Limantour Spit for development, but that of course never happened. Otherwise the lands would have been developed probably very early on and not have been available at all for the park. But David Adams, who also developed the Paradise Ranch Estates, got permission from the supervisors for development. And this was one that actually started being built. We actually had about 11 houses built out there out of the 300 or so that were authorized to be out at Limantour. Fortunately, the park was able to obtain the land and to tear down most of the houses. There are 2 left there that are used for park staff. But another thing, and of course it's hard to illustrate what didn't happen, but at one point Land Investors Group had bought the Pierce Point Ranch, and they had planned 2,500 acre ranch, 2,000 houses out there. Thank God that never happened. The exhibit is actually open during the time that the library is open, and is also will be open especially on 4th of July from 10 to 2, and also during the Inverness Fair from 10 to 2. So please do come and see this exhibit. It takes a little studying to understand what's happening, but it's well worth it to understand what didn't happen and how grateful we are that it did not.